something I wanted to touch on was the fact that as fighters, we consider ourselves competent at movement because we can perform our punches and kicks and our stance and shuffles and everything that we need to do. But actually, a lot of the time when I see fighters in the strength and conditioning sessions, there's some severe restrictions in how they move, and their body works a way around it, and they don't necessarily know they're doing it. So fighters tend to consider themselves very fit and strong too. If they feel like they're in the clinch and they're strong, or throw hard punches, they feel like they're strong, and then when you test them, you can show them they're actually not. And it can be quite humbling. I was exactly the same when I first started doing some resistance training, and I found I could run, jump and kick pretty well. Thought I was doing very well in all of that, and then when I did some testing, I was okay, but actually not strong when you compare to what other athletes can do. What I was very adapted to Muay Thai training and very efficient at throwing those techniques. So then if you can take someone who is adapted to their techniques, and then you can build that foundation up even more, then they've got a lot more. But don't confuse the two. Being adapted to what you're doing and being adaptable are two different things. And actually, when I've been out to Thailand to train fighters and to test fighters, they tend to perform very poorly in the tests because they're very adapted to what they do and they've got nothing else beyond that. So you throw something else in and it's a complete curveball for their body, and they're used to doing a ton of volume of what they're doing but not a lot of variation. And that can be seen as really good training. You could think that, but actually there's a lot of overuse there, and there's a lot of people that be thrown to the curb just because they get injured, and it's not because they're not a good fighter. It's just genetically they're not as tolerant to those sort of training methods. So mixing things up and being more adaptable will give you something different. And being that kind of one-trick pony and having that and nothing else can leave you very vulnerable. So don't fall into that trap, and don't confuse being adapted and really efficient at something as being very fit and very strong. There's always more you can add to that. Efficiency is important, but so is the foundation qualities as well. And be aware that sometimes how you're moving isn't necessarily the best, most efficient way for your body, especially in the longer term. And to give you a really good example of adaptable versus adapted, I've taken Thais in Thailand for the fighters, professional fighters, and had them perform a shuttle run test. And they're used to running, but what they're not used to doing is stopping and changing direction. And the force absorption qualities of that are very strong. And even though they're used to punching, kicking, blocking, all of these kind of powerful type movements, they're very adapted to those, and anything slightly different throws their body a curveball. So even doing a short little test of an interval run where they're changing direction at the end of a shuttle can make them very sore. So legs that are running a lot and kicking a lot all the time, as soon as you get them to sprint, cut, change direction, will make their legs very sore. They'll get the DOMS, that delayed onset muscle soreness, and their legs will feel tired from doing it. And this is someone who's training twice a day for 2 or 3 hours and for 6 days a week, yet they'll still get DOMS from doing something they're unfamiliar with. So they're very adapted to what they do, but not very adaptable.